So hopefully in that activity you've had a chance to look at the situation within your organisation, see who's involved in what part of the process. It's going to be varying, it's going to differ dramatically, I would have thought, dependent on the size of the organisation, where they fit on that maturity model, the Bersins 4 levels, to sort of identify what they've got in place. But some of the areas, people who are going to involve, some will have had HR departments, and even if they have, there's still going to be areas where managers have responsibilities to get involved, make sure the information is correct, such as the job specs, personal specs, make sure that everything's been done. May have an involvement in the recruitment, in the interview process. And then, depending on whether it's been done internally or externally, the external agencies may have involvement with recruitment, filtering, selection. Some of the times we talked about contacting and getting further information. And then finally, you're going to have administration who are going to be involved possibly in collecting that information if it's not being done by the agency, or dealing with references, recording data, sending out letters for the job interview or for the job offer. So many people have an area's responsibility within the process, and it will be dependent on your organisation and how they're set up. But whoever has accountability for those aspects of the process, there are some clear legal requirements and some other specifications that just can't be ignored. Pre-employment checks are designed sort of in the process to minimise the risk of employing the wrong person. They're a crucial step in the recruitment process, reducing the risk of hiring employees who might cause later difficulties for the organisation, its other employees, customers, suppliers. Employers need to sort of exercise due diligence, and they're responsible for exercising due diligence in all cases and conducting pre-employment checks in a legal, ethical manner, and in a consistent way, and a matter of fact, really. The risk employers need to guard against in the recruitment process can vary depending on sector or company or what they're involved in, but the UK legal requirements come into play when employing foreign nationals, so we would have rights to work in the UK, and in some roles there'll be criminals records checks or health checks depending on that role. Additionally, after those, there are some clear legal obligations. There's the Equality from the Equality Act 2010 with the 9 protected characteristics linked to recruitment and employment. And then there's data protection, GDPR, around all the data that's been collected in the employment process, around the use and storage of that data and what you can use it for after they either are employed or not employed. And then we've got to move on to things such as professional codes of conduct linked to recruitment associations that the recruitment agencies or your company might be a part of, and then organisational and professional areas such as DBSs for certain organisations or professions where they're working with vulnerable groups, checks on professional qualifications and industry regulations, and in-house policies linked to recruitment. And all those professional codes of conduct and organisational codes of conduct are going to be around some certain key areas, and that's going to be respecting the law, because it's not just keeping to it, it's respecting it and working within the rule of the law. Some honesty, transparency and confidentiality in that process so that we've got a fair and open process. A respect of diversity and making sure that everything's done in an ethical way. So that's just about all we're going to cover in this session, and the main aim was to understand how to recruit people into an organisation, and I think we've sort of covered that generally, and I think now you should be able to explain the different reasons and options for recruiting staff, describe the steps an organisation takes to recruit staff, we went through a process there, and explain how to ensure the recruitment selection processes are fair, and we talked about the legal and ethical sort of requirements that you'd need to go through. So sort of recap there and said that we'd completed this sort of session, but we've neared the end of a unit, so we just need to talk about what to do next. There is an ILM set assignment, written assignment for this unit. It's scenario based and contains 7 tasks covering all areas. So the scenario is based around an organisation, you'll be given all the information, and where you're managing multiple and remote teams, and you're going to be looking to improve performance. So they'll be giving you all the tasks about what they want you to do and how they want to do, but the overarching aspect will be to try and improve the performance of these teams that you're working with. Once you've completed that assignment and uploaded it, I'd like you to take a look at the guidance for Unit 504 as well, which is a skills unit where you have to produce portfolio of evidence of your performance. But it's key to have a look at it now and start thinking about, even if you can't produce it, what sort of evidence you might be able to produce while these areas are fresh in your mind. And any sort of areas where you think you've already got evidence, discuss them with your assessor. Bring some examples or discuss your plan about how you think you will be able to get the evidence. The guidance sheets gives all the details about what you need to produce and what it needs to contain. You also need to do some reflection on what you've covered. Remember to write up a journal, add any parts to your PDP that you think are areas that you need to improve on, how you're going to go about them, any reflections on evaluation of what you think you've done already. And then you can move on to the next unit, which is Unit 502, Building Relationships, where we'll start looking at different types of relationships, stakeholders, etc., working relationships. We'll look at managing conflict and how we go about collaboration. So that's your next unit, but go through your assignment, complete it and upload it. Look at the guidance for 504, so start thinking about your evidence in those areas, discuss it with your assessor. Make sure you do some reflection and put some stuff in your PDP. There must be something in there where you can say you've learned something or you've developed something or where you've got to find out more. And then you can start on the next unit once all that's done.